Good afternoon. Hello, and thank you for joining us today for our breakout session on how United Airlines transformed traveler experience using unified data on AWS. My name is Natasha Templeton. I'm the worldwide lead for business development for AWS Entity Resolution. I'm joined today by Devor Golak, who is the general manager for AWS Entity Resolution and Amazon Connect customer profiles. Our special guest today is Mahesh Veda. Mahesh is the managing director for customer traveler experience at United Airlines. In today's session, we'll talk a little bit about Customer 360 use cases. I'll explain how we have defined that within this context, and we'll talk about the sort of impact that this can have on your business. Revenue impact, operational impact, but perhaps most importantly, the impact it has on your relationship with your customers. I will describe some of the challenges that we at AWS have heard from our customers, and we will talk a little about how AWS offers purpose-built services specifically to address some of these needs. Then we will hear from United Airlines on how they have built an identity platform enabling them to provide better engagement for customers who fly United. And then last, Devor will come up and wrap up the session and tell you how you can learn more about some of the AWS services that we will talk about today. A Customer 360 is essentially a united view of each and every data point that your organization has for its individual customers. It allows you to gain a holistic understanding of your customers in order to enhance their experience with your brand, to deliver better advertising campaigns, and to increase operational efficiency. A 360 provides a foundation for customer identity that can increase your business profitability through customer acquisition, growth, and retention. As a consumer and a working mom of two, I have come to expect very personalized content and product recommendations, and the brands that I engage with typically would like to have an understanding of who Natasha Templeton is from a lifestyle standpoint, demographically, who else is involved in my household, and what my buying preferences are. And brands that can do this very effectively can actually help to streamline my hectic life. But in order to improve customer engagement, you must begin with data. When arranged clearly and accurately, it can provide a very insightful look at your customer's journey, at their buying triggers, and their preferences. Our team has worked with organizations from multiple different types of industries, from healthcare, financial services, retail, and government agencies. And we were working recently with a financial investment company who shared a high priority initiative where they wanted to have a view of their customer identities across multiple different product lines. And what that required them to do was to take the consumer profiles that they had previously resolved at the product level to an enterprise level. And for this company in particular, their customers may buy directly through agents, and they wanted to have an understanding of when a customer had purchased, let's say, a mutual fund, but had also purchased an IRA. So resolving identity across all these product lines gave them that view. And what that enabled was for them to make relevant, informed product recommendations based on having their customers' full financial picture. I'd also like to talk a little bit about a healthcare initiative as well. So for healthcare companies, they have a need and are required to look at customer identity or patient identity across multiple different channels. So they may be looking at pharmaceutical data, insurance information, medical data, including office visits and lab results. And what they need to do, of course, is resolve that whole look across all those different channels for their patients. And in these examples, having an accurate unified view of their customer or patient is critical to driving business outcomes. And for a healthcare firm, like I just described, it's very useful for them to detect potential fraud. are also to make sure that they're delivering the right care to the correct individual. There are challenges, of course, to doing this effectively, and this is what we'll talk about a little bit about today. Most of us are likely familiar with the Best Western brand, but if not, Best Western International is a franchise that operates about 2,000 hotels across North America. And Best Western said that understanding their hotel guest preferences is incredibly important to delivering exceptional customer service. But they have particular challenges around consolidating disparate sets of data because for Best Western, like many other organizations, customer data lives across multiple siloed repositories. And because customer data is collected across many different touch points, it is often fragmented, it can be incomplete, and it's also stored across multiple source systems and SaaS applications. Diversity in the data sources and types, along with consent requirements and new data privacy laws, simply add to the complexity there. And your key stakeholders in your organizations likely have varying levels of access to the applications that hold the data necessary to perform this type of analysis. According to the 2023 AWS Chief Data Officer report, 47% of CDOs said that data quality and improving data quality is a key part of their job. And more than 50% said that governance is their top responsibility. And when you are trying to consolidate these disparate data sets, it does often require you to copy and move data. And while the volume of data available to an organization in 2024 is virtually unprecedented, oftentimes your first-party data isn't quite enough to give you that full, complete picture of your customers. And this is really where your partners can come in handy. Partners like customer data platforms, media owners, or other data partners. And that often requires you to look and find a more privacy-compliant way to work with those partners. These are critical initiatives, and up next, Devor will share how AWS offers services that are built specifically to meet these needs.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here and taking the time out of your first day at reInvent to be with us. Super excited to share with you all the things that we have been working on as well. Second, I wanted to thank all the teams that made it possible to bring all these innovations to all of you as well. So I can't forget to say thank you to all those teams that have been working really hard on these launches for reInvent. And last, to our customers and partners, it is through your feedback, your iterations on using our products that AWS builds and our own set of innovations and new features. So we are always working backwards from your feedback. So thank you to all of you. So I'm Devor Golek. I'm the general manager for several of these services that I'm going to talk about today. And these collections of services, as Natasha mentioned, are meant to help companies bring together information that is relevant to delivering the best customer experience that you can possibly deliver for your companies. So across these services that we have today, we have been able to build the right capabilities to let you customize how you can aggregate and structure and make this data actionable so that you can take advantage of that. I'm going to start from the end and show you a little bit of how companies generally structure their data stacks or customer engagement stacks. I see this across different companies and across different customers that we have as to how we can deliver transformative generative AI and applications. And we believe that it starts from having a solid foundation at the customer data level. So if you see in the bottom, we have this concept of a unified customer data layer. And with it is key components such as how do you bring in customer data and have that in sync, either real time or batched, so you can have the latest and freshest information about your customers. Identity resolution, how do you make sure that those records and attributes about your customers are all linked together so that you can start to build a full comprehensive view of all those customers. And then you have things such as data enrichment, so that once you have all this information, how do you get better at understanding even further? And you can enrich it with additional data that is out there from either partners or your first-party data, second-party data, or also as you start to generate insights. And we also have this concept of data collaboration. How do you enable all of this rich data to be accessed within an enterprise across different organizations, or more importantly, with different partners that might have a part of that data that is super relevant to building that customer 360. So with this foundation, what we believe is that once you have it, you can start to build really transformative generative AI and insights. So this is where in that second layer, we see how do we start to build personalization models, start to think about next best action, or how do you really get smart about segmentation and creating audiences that are the right ones to then drive the engagement at the right time. And all of this is tied to delivering specific actions or outcomes, so measurement is also part of the equation. How do you know that what you're delivering in terms of interactions with your customers is creating the right outcome for your business? And of course, analytics comes with that. And at the top, you start to see the different applications and use cases that we see in this customer engagement stack, which is we see customer service and delivering exceptional experiences as a key one. So imagine every interaction that your customers are having with the contact center. I think of the contact center as the heart of customer experience, where brands either make it or break it in terms of their reputation. There's a lot of rich information there. So making sure that all of this is tied to a full understanding of your customer is super, super important. The other one is about proactive engagement. Don't just wait for your customers to come in and tell you that they have a problem. Engage with them at the right moment and try to anticipate their needs. And this is where the right data brings the right insights for you to be able to do that. And there's a lot of companies trying to deliver web and mobile personalization that creates these engaging and delighting experiences for customers, as well as advertising. Having the right advertising that is super relevant to you as an individual, as a consumer, at the right time creates a delightful experience instead of something that is not relevant to you. So this is how we see different companies starting to build these capabilities. Now I'm going to talk to you about some of the trends that we have been hearing in this space. The first one is really about deliver relevant and timely customer experiences. Relevant and timely. So if you think about relevant is, how does that make that interaction super timely in terms of who you are as a consumer? We have to build that understanding of who you are as a consumer, your behaviors, your demographics as well, so that we can deliver that right experience at the right time. So one example is like an insurance company. Very, very simple example, which is, you call the contact center for support, you go to create a claim, and just greeting the customer by first name. Sounds, very basic things. But I don't know about you, but I haven't seen a lot of companies deliver that experience. But you know that they have your name, you know that they have your phone number. But you just be able to create that delightful experience at the right time makes such a difference in terms of that experience. Second one is more around anticipating customer needs and improve satisfaction. So I mentioned this in the previous slide, but don't just wait for that customer opportunity to come in to address it. It's more around how do you anticipate that. So we have seen healthcare facilities being able to reach out proactively at the right time to make sure that you're scheduling an appointment for a procedure or for a consultation. And that interaction where the company is reaching out in the right moment and with the right channel creates the right experience. And it also helps reduce costs. If you think about managing internal contact center operations, it's great to anticipate that need proactively so that you can reduce the time that agents are spending with end customers. The last one is about how do you do this, all these different cross-channel experiences, meeting the customer where they are. So in the digital world, Everyone is tied to different devices, different experiences. It's no longer the case that everyone's going to answer a phone call. So you have to anticipate with mobile experiences like text, email, push notifications, and being able to do this all using the latest information about customers is a really hard problem. So again, with all of the customer conversations that we have, these key trends continue to be the number one drivers of what they want to go solve. So what did we do? So 4 years ago, we started on a journey to build a unified customer profile service. And this is our approach to saying, how do we help companies bring in the right information, structured in a way that they can take action on that information? We see customer profiles as the layer for bringing a customer 360 understanding of your consumers, of your customers. And think of this as kind of like a customer data locker. You can bring in all the information that is relevant, interactions that are happening across channels, real-time insights. You can put all this information in the C360. And we help you do that all securely within AWS, within your own domain and tenant, keeping all that data that you have about your customers secure and in your own environment. But not only that, we also created a capability called calculated attributes. So think of this as the more information that you put into the profile, it could become really hard to discern, what's the signal from the noise. So we've created a simple way for you to decide, here is a new attribute. Think, for example, as this customer has had a flight delay. You can configure that attribute or metric by using a no-code interface within our customer profiles design. And all of this can be then displayed, as you see here in a solution, whether it's tied to your contact center agents or business user engagement and applications that you have. So this is making it all that information readily available for your use cases. Now you can say well, that's great, Devor, but how do you do that when you have to bring in so many different sources of information to make that real, that vision real? Well, this is an example where generative AI really helps in understanding the source data that you're trying to bring in and trying to map it in a way that is structured and actionable. So we've applied generative AI to basically say, point to your data, recognize the schema that is coming from that source data, and make a recommendation as to how do you bring it into a way that you can use it in a customer 360 setting. So this is a key capability that has really reduced the time to onboard data and helps you scale your investment in terms of bringing more information that is relevant for your customers. Now, one capability that is new and really excited to announce and share with you is intelligent segmentation. So this is where companies have said, this is great, Devor, we have the data in the customer profile, now what do we do with it? How do we make it actionable? So companies have been asking us to make sure that they can help define audiences with real-time information so that they can engage with them at the right time. So we created our segmentation viewer, and this is a simple interface for you to define your specific rules that you want to say. So tell me the number of customers that have made a purchase in the last 30 days, for example, or customers that have call support in the last 7 days. Or you can make it more actionable and say, give me all the customers that attempted to make a purchase but didn't complete the transaction on the web. So all these things are easily configured for you and your business teams to be able to create the right audience segmentation to deliver the right experience across channels. But wait, there's more. Again, generative AI, here's an area where we have applied innovation, and instead of saying hey, start to define these rules as I showed in the previous screen, why don't you just explain a segment that you want in plain English? Give me all the customers that had their flight delayed in the last week. And in plain English, you can define that. And with our generative AI conversational interface, this all gets created for you. Again, we're doing a lot of the heavy lifting to understand where you want to take that segment. We then map it to the right attributes so that we can then create that segment in real time. So we've tried to really simplify how do we make this simple for business users to take advantage of this super powerful capability. And again, not only that, but because customer profiles is generating so many insights with the attributes that it has and the new attributes that you can customize, we provide you an interface that you get automatic recommendations of segments. So think of this as, the AI recognizing that, hey, you might have some customers that might need some help completing a purchase. Or here are your customers that are most likely to make a purchase, because of the previous history that they had with your products. So we make it super easy for these recommendations to pop up so that you can just click on it and that segment gets auto-generated. Now, of course, you can then customize it if it's not fitting, but that's for you to then fully configure for your business. Next, I'll touch on a little bit of the foundational aspect of a C360, which is how do you do this with identity resolution, or what we call entity resolution, because we think about the identity problem in a broader set, which can be either identity data or product information or other type of entities. So we have developed an AI ML-based matching algorithm that now, as of this last month, we believe to have a 92% match rate accuracy. So we've been working on solving this problem of identifying patterns in the data and in all these attributes so that we can link the right records of individuals together. So this is really recognizing, is John Smith, the same John Smith that I have across 5 different databases or applications. And this is super important because having that level of accuracy allows you to do more of building the C360 and deliver the right experiences, because each of those records contain more and more fragments of information that you really want to bring together and have a full understanding of your customer. Now, we've done this by developing 8 different models with billions of parameters to be able to process all of this data. So in the bottom, you see some of our models that have been delivered. So next, I'll share just a very quick example of how this looks like. You might have different records that are coming from different databases, as you can see here on the left-hand side, related to a Jonathan Smith or a John R. Davis or John Davis. So these are different types of records that can be coming in, and this is where you can use our entity resolution machine learning model. Think of this as just the easy button. You don't need to do much more configuration. You just say, hey, here's all my records. Model, go and determine, how do these match? So the model will say, like, hey, I recognize that across these different records, there are patterns that I can match and have Jonathan Davis have these set of emails tied together, or this phone number and email address, or physical address. So the model will give you, with a confidence score, how likely is it that these records belong to that same individual. But what it would also do is tell you that these records are unique, and they also the model discerns if these are meant to be separated as different records. So it will do that, across these different 2 records that I show there. And this is important because you do want to have the model join data when it's highly accurate in terms of, or has high confidence that they belong together, but also keep them separate if it doesn't find that right pattern in place. So again, we continue to work on this model to make sure that we're delivering both the right precision and recall in terms of giving you that easy capability of building this C360. But not only that, we also understand that different companies have different needs in terms of configuration. So we've also delivered deterministic matching. So think of this as precise rule-based configurations that, based on your company's own logic, you can configure and set up for your business. So this is where you can say, like, hey, Devor, I want to set up very precise, 100% accurate matching with exact match rules. Perfect. You can do that with this service. But not only that, but we're starting to also introduce some level of what we call fuzziness, which is, I like the precision of rule-based, but can we also leverage some of these classic string matching algorithms that are out there, such as Levenstein, which is a string similarity algorithm that helps you discern like if the string has similar number of characters between them. So this is a useful technique to be able to do that. So we've tied that into our fuzzy matching capability. Same thing with soundex. There's multiple strings that sound the same, and this helps just to do that matching whether they're spelled in a different way. So soundex is an algorithm that will do that level of matching just based on sound similarity. Cosine is a different approach that takes vectors. So basically, it takes the string and puts it into a different vector and measures the distance between these vectors. So all of these things are just additional tools for you to be able to do the right matching for your business. I'll start to wrap this up to give you a sense of how this all can come together for you to be able to deliver a full customer engagement set of capabilities for your business. Again, this is nothing new in terms of a view, but we see a lot of companies having multiple sources of information coming in as billions of data points that they might have. So we made it super easy for you to bring in this information, access it, sync it in real time across different applications that you might have, and of course, our own AWS services and databases that we have. Now, we bring that all into our set of services that I showed you with customer profiles that help you sync the data, merge it, deduplicate it, clean it, also govern access to it. So if you need to share this with other organizations or with other customers and partners, we have the capability to do so. For example, with AWS Clean Rooms, that is our capability for doing secure data sharing. And then we have the ability to do more calculated attributes and insights using generative AI and ML models so that you can have the right information about your customers. Not only that, but we make it also easy to connect to different applications and capabilities to take action on that. Whether it's services like Amazon Connect that has the ability to do it within the contact center and outbound channels, but also with different applications that you might already be using for marketing or advertising purposes. So again, we're trying to just make it easy for you to leverage your own data that you have, structure it, and be able to build this Customer 360 within your environment to do more with that information. The key benefits that we see in this space is, how do we make this easy to set up? We're continuing to work with our customers. We get the feedback to make sure that we're not only delivering it for power users that are developers, but also business users that just want the simplicity of this setup. We'll continue to innovate in that space, but that is one of our key tenets to just make this super easy to configure and set up. Second one is we want to minimize data movement, especially with customers that have the majority of their data within AWS. We want to make sure that we help you leverage the data where it sits and be able to structure it and process it so that we minimize that data movement. And this is key to making sure that with customer data, it's super sensitive. You keep it secure within your own environment and with your own controls. And last but not least, it's our pay-as-you-go pricing. So this is how we think of our journey to make sure that we're delivering the value at the right time. So, and you only are taking advantage of that value, and our pay-as-you-go pricing provides you this capability for you to scale as you grow. Perfect. So next, I'll hand it off to our guest, Mahesh Veda, Managing Director at United. So he will share their experiences with our set of service. Thank you.
Thank you, Devor. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mahesh Veda, Managing Director of Digital Channels and Connective Media at United Airlines. I'm glad to be sharing our customer experience on customer identity. Entity resolution is a product that we actively use, partnering with AWS. And the journey for entity resolution has always been there. As you guys know, with airlines, there is a pretty large, vast use case that we can certainly use a much more cleaner identity. What really accelerated the whole thing? The whole thing has been accelerated this year with the launch of Connective Media. United launched a retail media network called Connective Media earlier this year, and that has really propelled us to hone in on this identity use case and how we can actually apply. What is Connective Media? Let's take a quick look at a video which kind of gives you an intro to Connective Media.
What if you could connect and engage with millions of travelers throughout their travel journey? Introducing a world-first traveler media network, Connective Media by United Airlines. Connective Media combines our rich travel and loyalty data with our unique media channels to make connections that matter the most for brands, reaching travelers throughout their journeys. From check-in to the United Club lounges, at the gate, on our new in-flight entertainment screens, our award-winning mobile app, and we continue to reach travelers even when their trip is over. And we're committed to protecting our customers' data and privacy every step of the way to earn and maintain their trust. And we are just getting started. Welcome to Connective Media by United Airlines. We help brands and travelers make connections.
So what's special about United's digital footprint? You all know United as a very large airline. Yes, we are the #1 carrier, right? So we are #1 in various categories across the board. So what's special about our digital footprint? I'm here to tell you that United is a digital airline. So what do I mean by that? 90%, about 90% of our customers' interactions every single day with United Airlines happens digitally, which means you interact at any part of the journey, you use some sort of a digital interaction to connect with United. And our mobile app is the best in the whole industry. It's the #1 downloaded mobile app across the aviation sector, and we have won several awards to prove for that, right? So a combination of these really sets the background to say we are really a truly digital airline, and we are collecting a lot of information. How does that channel towards an identity use case? Allow me to set you up with both data as well as the problem statement in the next few minutes, right? We have a traditional loyalty program called Mileage Plus. You're all aware of it. We have close to 150 million members who are part of the loyalty program. And you may say like, wow, that's a lot of people, a lot of program, and you collected, by getting into that program, you provide your name, your address, a whole bunch of other information, so people do know, and you do clearly understand who I am, what do I do, right? And we also have a lot of programs which help us understand how many of these people do travel a lot, right? So that's the 39 million that you see in there, where these are Mileage Plus members who travel a lot, and we do collect a lot of rich information about these customers as well. And this is growing. This group is growing, and the whole volume is growing, and everything else is growing at this point. But the big stat that I want to leave you with is 50% of the people who travel every single day are still non-members. So we do have a lot of people who fly for the first time, they booked somewhere else, and then they came back in for this particular trip, and you travel, right? So there's a lot of people. When I look at the whole diverse population, it's not just sufficient to know everything about your members, about all the people who are there. I should know everything about everyone who's actively traveling on United. And what's the power of the digital touch point? That's what you see on the right? So these people travel to all the airports that we fly to, right? And so many billions of miles that they fly with us, so many flights that they actually book with us, right? And they spend close to 3.5 hours just staring at the screen in front of them, and they really want to get that personalized experience from United. That's the powerful statement in terms of numbers as to how identity can actually help develop a more personalized experience for the customer. So now allow me to set up the use case by walking through how do we actually solve this problem, right? So you may wonder, what do you mean? I make a booking with United Airlines. How do you say that I can have multiple identities with United? There has to be just one, right? I see some heads nodding because you guys should know by my driver's license, it's just me. I'll tell you a few use cases. There are many. In the interest of time, I'll give you 3 or 4 to tell you how you end up with multiple of these IDs, okay? The first one is, in this case, Jane Smith is making a booking, and they book as a member. You go to our digital channels, you sign in with Mileage Plus, you make a booking, and that creates a deterministic ID. So I'll give you 2 key data points to walk away with. One is called a deterministic ID, and the other one is called a probabilistic ID, right? So this is a unique deterministic ID. Jane Smith, member, logged in, made a booking. I know that person as Jane Smith. The same Jane Smith may come back in and make a booking without a Mileage Plus member. How many of you, all of you flew into Las Vegas, right? Probably very little natives. I'm pretty sure most of you flew from various parts of the world to come in here. You would have booked through either Kayak, Booking.com, right? Or your office, your company would have made a booking through various sites and their connections that they actually do. At that time of booking, they don't really ask you for your mileage plus ID and everything else to make a booking. So you get a booking, which is a straight booking on United, and we know in this example it's the same Jane Smith, but her company made a booking, or someone else made a booking which does not have the loyalty. That is another deterministic ID for that particular person. So this is a match ID too that is created. Now, the third one is, in some cases, let's say agency or an admin, someone else makes a booking. The phone number that they attach to your current booking may not be your phone number. It may be the company's phone number, the agency's phone number, things that are attached. Even with that kind of example, now I may even have a loyalty ID, but the phone number may be different. So that creates a different match ID that we actually have within our system. And the last one is, at least the example that I want to give is, hey, people do, like you create an ID and you get married, name changes happen, right? And how many of you in your passport for middle initial, sometimes you type in an initial, sometimes you spell it out, depending on where and how you use it. So the profile can be significantly different. Sometimes even for domestic, because of your driver's license, you probably skip the middle initial. You just say first name and last name, and just you go on. So that creates a different sort of an ID. All of these historically are always captured. This is not the first time we are seeing this, right? We have operated for an airline. Next year it's going to be 100 years, right? So you're going to see many of these things that come across, and people actually have collected this information. But all of these are deterministic IDs, which have a unique set, and all of them have to be. And there is a purpose for that too. I'll cover through that with the benefits of why we are doing this. This is for the first time with entity resolution using the AI/ML algorithm that Devor just mentioned. We are able to now match all of these into a singular what I call probabilistic ID. And this singular probabilistic ID has got a lot of benefits in how I can actually deliver a proper customer experience to the customer. And that is the power of entity resolution. And compare this to the numbers that I told you earlier, 140 million customers, and they all book every single day, and they travel across the system. You come in with new bookings, new customers actually come in, members, non-members alike, doesn't really matter. I can create an actual probabilistic ID and a deterministic ID, which will match for every single one of the customers. So you're no longer tracking yourself to just your loyalty members, but for every single traveling customer, I can deliver a personalized experience. So I spoke a lot about how do I create this singular ID, right? So what do you think of as the benefits? So let me tell you some of the frustration. So in this example that I told you for Jane Smith, made a booking with a member loyalty ID. What do you guys all do? You all store your TSA pre, your clear, some cases your passport, all of that information you have stored. But now let's say a company made a booking, and in that booking your loyalty membership is not really added in. Now either you have to go manually add in, or you have to go through all of these processes. And let's say you check that only 4 hours, 8 hours before departure when you check in, you're kind of frustrated. What happened to my TSA pre? Sometimes you overlook that. You go to the airport and they say, no, don't stand in this line, go to a different line. And you say, what do you mean? I already have TSA pre. It's just not attached to that reservation, right? So all of these things provide a mismatched experience to the customer. There's no seamless experience that I can give you across your entire journey. If I know you, whichever way you book, and I have this probabilistic ID, I can actually prompt you and make you verify yourself, and I can provide you the same seamless experience. And that's what I mean by compliance and data security. I'm not going to take some random Jane Smith's ID and a profile to give you, but if I have matched everything else with a higher level of confidence, I can actually then prompt you to say, hey, is this you? How many of you get a message in your phone and it says, maybe this person, right? How do they know? They picked it up from your email or some other place to kind of say, this is that person, right? So once you attach all of these together using the probabilistic ID, I can actually provide you with a safe way to provide a seamless experience. And this also helps in other use cases. Let me hit on a couple of them from Connective and the marketing use cases. A big portion of what Devor just mentioned is you need to generate an audience file. For going through a marketing use case, you need to have a different audience file, and the audience file has various characteristics. So you need to be able to clearly identify a particular person, and that's what we can do with this probabilistic ID. Otherwise, the same Jane Smith will show up 6 times. And some of them, they may have 4 phone numbers. So you're probably hitting them with all 4 phone numbers and saying that, hey, here is what I want you to actually go sign up for this, or any marketing offer, things of that nature. Nothing is really personalized, and your experience is totally changed at that particular point, right? So that is the main goal of having a singular ID within the whole airline operation space as well as the media space. And this will help every step of the journey, right? It's not just during booking, as I was telling you, with how you get added, whether you go to the airport, you will have the same experience. And all of these experiences can really continue and follow that through as long as I can have this singular ID that is really truly matched in. A lot of techies here, right? So I don't want to leave you without showing a big architecture diagram. So the key to many of this is, right, so how do we actually do this? I want to hit on a few things for you. One is the volume and scale in how we actually process this, right? I told you we are a digital airline. We are an AWS digital airline. So all of our digital transactions for the channels that I manage and support with my team is 100% on AWS. We handle just in our mobile app several billion transactions a day, right? And several billion, okay? So, and a small thing called CrowdStrike happened a few months back. We went up close to around 250% on that billions of transactions on that particular day, and we were fine, right? Still have different issues because things could not, like laptops and things like that could not boot up, but the volume and the power that you can handle as part of the digital experience is vast. It's pretty vast every single day. So we have two big mainframes that actually run, or two big platforms, I should say, that actually run. One of them is a loyalty platform, which actually knows the 140 million loyalty members that I told you, and what they actually have, and all of their information is present. And then the second one is, for lack of a better term, at a high level, I can tell you, is a reservation system, right? There are many reservation systems. United has our own reservation system. So we do collect all of this information from both of these, and we feed them back in. And think of it as you start with the base, which is your loyalty platform, and you already know hundreds of millions of people based out of that. And you create a deterministic ID and a probabilistic ID. So I have all of them. And now if I take last 5 years of all of the bookings, we have somewhere between 500, 600,000 people who travel us every single day, and use that 50% factor of what I told you with members versus non-members. And we funnel the last 5 years of data. You can imagine how many billions and billions of records that we are funneling through this. It will go through the match process. As Devor mentioned, it has a high 90s in terms of the match process, okay? So that's a key factor and a key stat to keep in mind. So once the match really happens, then the entity resolution processing engine is able to generate you a deterministic ID and a probabilistic ID. At the end of the day, the probabilistic ID should not have duplicates associated with it because it should be matching all of these 10 flavors or 50 flavors of the same customer who's coming back in, and you must be able to attach it to your solution, right? So that's the power of how we actually use the AWS entity. So we start with the base of how we can provide through our loyalty platforms to get to the base. We add all of the historical, and then now we are at a point where every single booking, anytime somebody walks in through that and they go through, we are able to immediately associate in real time how the probabilistic ID has to shape out for that particular customer for that journey. And after that, it's just about customer experience and how you utilize this data to provide a better customer experience. And that's what we show on the right? So whether it is marketing platform, as I told you earlier, they need all this audience file generated that has to go with it, right? And we have various products. Channels is a big user of it, right? Every single place that you go to, you use the channel, whether it's .com, mobile, you use the monitors, anything else that you see at the airports, all of them are channels that you actually interact with every single day, whether it's a kiosk. All of them need to actually tie into the same to kind of actually drive so that then I know it is the singular customer that is the base of what we actually do. I know you guys are all about the numbers, right? So I can say all of my stories to say, hey, this is going to do pretty well. This is an excellent product. And so the first number is the high 90% match that I told you in terms of funneling the data across the AI ML algorithm, which actually generates the probabilistic ID, operates at very high 90s in terms of the match. So what that resulted in for us, right, for funneling in our billions of data for United Airlines, it resulted in a net 35% reduction in the total amount of duplicates that we actually generated in an ID and a profile. So now you can imagine, with a lesser number of duplicates, these customers would actually know, okay, I would know that this is the true customer, and whatever experience I'm delivering is perfect for that particular customer. So the duplicates has really evaporated. Most of us, we measure ourselves in terms of Net Promoter Score. Any industry that you all support, at the end of the day, you review your customers, you send them surveys, and they actually measure you at various touch points. This really increased in a 15% increase in our Net Promoter Score, meaning customers are happy because, hey, you recognize me. Even though I made a booking this way and I came back in, you recognize me. What is more important to me? I need to go to this line. I should not be standing in TSA regular. I should be going through this line. I should be able to get a better experience for myself. And you were able to accomplish that, right? Without me actually prompting through that particular experience. And that's the 15% that you actually see. And us being in AWS, and we currently having all of our digital transactions, including shopping to travel, check-in, any single transaction that you see, everything else runs on AWS. This helps us by getting to this ID, helped us consolidate all of the infrastructure, and it also resulted in a net reduction in cost as well. The order of magnitude is what I've actually indicated in here for you. I want to tell you, okay, so all of this that we have explained is stuff that is actually running at United and how we actually maximize on our digital channels. What's next? What is really coming, right? We have to start thinking and evangelizing ourselves to say, how do I actually take this to the next step, right? That should be my goal. So you heard Devor mention about unified customer profiles, right? So that is what is coming up next, right? So the identity is the base foundation that you actually have. Once you have clearly defined what my identity is, then you can start adding on customer profiles in Ocean, right? You need to know everything about a customer. It's going to be a long time. You just need to know different flavors and how a customer is actually going to use it. So that is going to be your key success metric that you need to know. So here is how we are planning to use this for our personalized omni-channel experience. So when you are coming in and researching for a flight, and we clearly know, because there are so many millions of page views that actually people actually generate, and they come back in, and you know the same person comes back in the very next day, makes the same search, and then like if you want to go to Europe, you're searching now 3 places to go to, right? You start with London, then you say, okay, why not Portugal, why not here, Rome? You just go back in, you make your own searches, right? There has to be something that we are able to acknowledge to say that, hey, we do know, here is what you do. If you sign in, these are all things that we call pick up where you left off, right? You dropped off yesterday, you come back in tomorrow, and then you say, hey, I'm back again, and I'm searching for the same thing. How do I make it much more clear for you to say, hey, here are all your other options. Maybe you fly on this week or the next week if price is your consideration. If you're looking for specific business class seats or whatever it is that you're really engaged in to work with us, we must be able to provide that omni-channel experience that really helps throughout the booking process, right? And you get so many marketing emails. I'm pretty sure that everybody, one of you, generates it as well as consumes these marketing emails. But even if those are really personalized to something that you are looking for, I'm pretty sure Black Friday, right, and Cyber Monday, how many of you have clicked on many of those notes and everything else that you got, right? But you're selective. I'm pretty sure you got 50 of them, 100 of them, probably several hundreds, right? You don't go back and click every single one of them. You're selective in what you are looking for, and if that is custom tailored to what you actually got, yes, of course you're doing that, right? So that is the personalized experience that we can actually deliver the same from our side to the customer. And on the day of travel, nobody likes to stand in line. That's a common thing that I've learned, having worked in the airline industry, is okay, nobody likes to stand in line, make the line as fast as possible, and work with all the government regulations, be safe, be secure, but move the line as fast as possible. So the key towards that is to really help identify what sort of indicators can we give you, right? If we know personalized, here is how you are coming to the airport, how can I actually provide this information? That's what we are understanding about the customers to provide that to you, right? How many of you traveled over the last couple of days and you reached the last 20 minutes, last mile or so closer to the airport and you started crawling, right? If you were driving, you're in an Uber, and you're kind of nervous looking at the watch saying that, oh my God, maybe I should have planned another 20 minutes. What if the app would have told you even prior to that, hey, I know you're coming in, I know we gave you a notification 3 hours before saying that come to the airport. The last 20-minute stretch is going to be a 40-minute today, right? If we give you that kind of an information back to you that day, very well knowing that you're going to take a cab or drive or however it is that you commute, that gives you a more personalized experience because you're not thinking at that moment that this is the day of the long weekend and everybody's traveling, right, for whatever reason, compared to a normal Thursday or Wednesday where you can cut it close and you can still make it. Those kind of experiences is what makes or break, and that's what we're really truly working on, based on identifying the customer, based on getting to understand what is the type of profile, how would this customer like to be notified, what sort of information would they actually entertain from us, and how can I give it to them in that right context. So you're not really bombarding them with hundreds of different things that are out there. And that's the second announcement that we actually made probably a few months back. Starting 2025, we are going to have real high-speed internet from a small company called Starlink on board all of our aircraft. And this is going to provide you what we call living room in the sky experience. You're going to have pretty much a wow experience in terms of the bandwidth, in terms of what you can actually do sitting in your seat. And by the way, it's free. So how do you actually now deliver this personalized experience to the customers? So that I told you, 3.5 hours is the average span of what people are doing. And you know we have these monitors that are in the seat back of every single aircraft. And we are really trying to provide that information back to the customers there, right? So how do you actually tailor something that the customer would actually like, would entertain? And let's say kids are traveling, how do you actually tailor something for kids that they can actually entertain and watch? How do parents control, right? So all kinds of stuff that you really, that's why I say living room in the sky. Whatever you do in your living room, in how you entertain, what you watch, how the same thing that you can actually provide to others. That is the goal of the whole omni-channel experience. And going through this journey of identity is the first step. Understanding to get to the profile which we are maturing with is going to be the next step, which is going to deliver this. And last but not least, our primary goal. I'm super proud that our app is #1. It's downloaded, but the goal that we're really aiming for is a pure 100% digital adoption. We need folks to be pure 100% using everything digital across their journey, right? And making sure that the navigation is good, it is seamless, and it is providing value to the customer. That's when a customer is actually going to use it. We do understand that. How do I then understand everything about the customer? And if there are 200 people traveling in a plane, this is the statement that I use. Right now, when you look at it, people may have 5 or 6 different flavors of how much personalized it is. We want to get to a place where there is 25 to 30 to 50 different flavors of personalized things that people are actually seeing, which tells you that you know more about that particular person in how you are actually offering that particular solution. So this is a true omni-channel experience, and getting to entity resolution and identity management is the very first step in how we can actually achieve this. I want to leave you with what are some of the key learnings that we at United walk through. It's not just me, my awesome team. They walk through this every single day, right? I'm just a pretty face standing here, coming in and explaining this to you. So the first thing I would say is this is a complicated business problem, right? Everybody can come in and say, hey, you have been operating for years and years. You don't clearly understand who the customer is, how the identity is. Of course we do. You make a booking, you have a deterministic ID, right? So everybody knows who you are. You all flew. Nobody said, hey, you are not that person, right? So everybody knows how you do. The goal is now how do I take that to get to a personalized experience? So somehow we have to define what that business problem was. It took a while. Connective media really, and connective business use cases really helped us accelerate that use case. Because connective really thrives on using that first-party data to deliver connected experiences. That's what you saw in the video. That is the main reason why we are tailoring to drive many of these experiences. The second one I would say is start small in how you actually deliver some of these. We ran a POC coming out of last year's reInvent. We really zoomed in to say, yes, we need to come out of this to drive it. We ran a POC. And in that POC, we looked at the same metrics. What's your match rate? How can you actually eliminate these duplicates? And does this actually help me if I propagate this anywhere in the channels? Three simple use cases, right? And no, you don't take this billions of records and funnel back in. We started by taking in just a handful of records, and then our business teams and us were able to clearly validate with AWS, with Devor's team, to say, how can I actually manage this through to a success? That I feel pretty confident that now I have to actually just drive this through with hundreds of use cases to be successful. So that's the starting small. And once we are starting small and we knew that this is going to deliver the value that we were expecting, we really just kicked it off, and we said, okay, just go through. At that particular point, it's just how do we handle the scale and volume, and that's what I was explaining to you. We were pretty much very comfortable doing that. Last but not least is evangelize. Me standing on stage here is one part of it, but we do the same thing with my team and I. We do the same thing even within United. And we talk to our business partners, we talk to several other teams in there, because it's a collaborative exercise, right? We cannot really just change it and drive it. I need my business teams to understand, and they are the ones who are actively working towards driving the product strategy, whether it is connective or from digital otherwise. We need this to power what is really driving the strategy to move forward. And our job evangelizing is, how can I actually explain to them, hey, what is the deterministic ID and what is this probabilistic ID? Why do you say that there is multiple? Why do you say that you can actually match this? And what is the purpose? Should I pass just this one ID or the other? And at which use cases do you actually drive the solution on either one of them? So those are the main use cases, and here is how we actually evangelize it. And I would say these are the top three learnings for me and for my team in how we actually progress through this. I would say at this point, thank you for listening to how we actually apply and use it. It's an awesome product and how we actually use this, and we have our plans using Profile to drive this to the next step. I want to invite Devor on stage to wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, wow. I get inspired by United every single day, working with the team. It's incredible because if you just experienced, right? You came to Vegas, you took a plane, and in those moments, there are so many opportunities to delight your experience as a passenger. I see that dedication and passion in the United team, and we work together to make this happen together. So one thing that I add to the key points of advice that Mahesh just gave is come talk to us right after the session. This is how United got started, exactly about a year ago. So this is the opportunity for you to come meet with us, meet with United and other customers as well, because we're really interested in helping you deliver these set of experiences just like what you just saw today. Last, I have a favor to ask all of you. Please take the survey that you have as part of this session. This helps us make sure that we have awesome speakers in the future and that we're meeting your expectations. I'm just going to wrap it up and saying thank you for your time. I love having this session. I love having Mahesh and the United team here on stage with me, and Natasha as well. So thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of re:Invent.